So we have these Age of Sigmar models that are no longer Age of Sigmar. They are ShadeSpire Underworld ShadeSpire. So as you saw, we probably put together the chaos if I didn't delete all the files, and that means that we were successful in painting some, and we have some more to paint. So we're gonna take these guys, the Stormcast, and bust them out. I think they're gonna go really quickly. But I also thought that last time when I did Chaos. Of course, there's a lot more detail in Chaos. That's why I'm hoping these go faster. But you never know. And I kind of want to have them done for a demo game tomorrow. Wish me luck. So let's go ahead and prime these guys up and get right to it. Guys, what is this world coming to? We had perfectly good models, perfectly good blue models, and then I went and covered them over with black just to have to paint them blue again. This is ridiculous. All right, you ready for this? We're gonna start with some blue. All right. All right, almost there. Okay. Then let's see, empty out our brush. All right, so that was with the blue, just generic old blue. And then now we're gonna hit it with the light sea blue. All right. We're just kind of getting the inside edges. Okay, he doesn't have too much blue on him, but there we go. And let's get the captain. Okay. Okay, there we go. Start from there. Now that we got all that black, or they had that blue all over the place, I started looking at it and I really kind of like the dry brush look of the blue. So let's go ahead and do that on purpose. Now that we got all that blue all over the place, let's push it back with a little bit of black. All right, we're going to start off with a little bit more model air, some dark gray blue. And I think this is going to really set off well against the gold later on. Now we're going to add some light gray, and we're just going to mix it right in the cup. So we're going to have a little bit that was left over, and then see what happens. There we go. we're just going to go straight into the light gray. There we go. Let's go ahead and do up Steel What's His Head's skirt. I have some Space Wolf Gray. I think all I do is paint with archaic colors. But, oh, this is not the brush I want. Oh, this one will do. Alright, so now we have most of that done. Let's see. Yeah, we got a little undercape there. Then we're going to hit it with some ceramite white. So let's see what we can do. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this. Mix some gray into there, just to feather it. It'd be nice if I showed you, huh? And add some water, feather it. And go back here. Mind you, this is all watered down ceramite white. Okay, looks like a little oops there. Yeah, that'll work. What do you think? Good start? Alright, gold it up. This is, I don't know, what is this? Rulic? Rulic gold? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, normally I really like the GW golds, but I think mine is dead. Got hit by a car. So now we're just gonna hit everything for the most part. Anything that's not tied down, that's just going to be base for everything else. And then we'll later on figure out what we want to make silver. Alright. I'm not going to bore you with this, so we'll speed up. Right, we got this, let's see, like a Reaper fair skin. So we're going to use a little bit of that. Okay. On homebrew. Get your face looking pretty. Alright, I'm going to finish this off camera. Alright, tan shadow. This is going to be the hair for Steel Balls, or whatever his name is. I just put too much on the palette, but it's okay. And we're going to put a little bit of shade on top of this. By this I meant the back of my hand. We're going to put a little shade on top of this guy. So you don't have to worry, like his hair will darken. You ready? Let's Reichland this guy up. Start with the head. Hair. And I'm seeing that the Reichland isn't enough for the hair to really tone it down, because I think he has like a almost light brown. This looks like a dirty blonde. So we'll go over it again later. There we go. Let that dry. A lot of silvers I usually try to start with lead belcher. In this case, I want this thing to pop a bit, so we're going to do the rune fang. And I'm going to go ahead and hit his loincloth and a couple other places. And then we're going to null and oil it so it'll die back down. And also, while you're at it, make sure to hit like any of those lightning bolts and stuff. Do that, do the sword, do anything silver. Alright, so now let's go ahead and we're going to null and oil it. Normally I'd probably throw on some, ooh, this is a brand new bottle. Normally I'd throw on some Reichland or something like that, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to start with this, and then we're going to go to that, just to kind of color. We're going to start by darkening the recesses with the null and oil, and then we'll colorize it with the Reichland. So get in here and get all the silver bits. I'm like hugging the camera right now. It's kind of a hard process. Paintbrush is smacking up against you. Go ahead and hit that up and see what comes of it. Okay, while we're at it, we can wait for that to dry, but we could also add some, mess with the parchments with some Reaper linen white. So let's go ahead and hit that. Sorry, who has some linens?
She's got some linens.
We'll do that off camera. Let's put some Carrot Top Red on the Sergeant guy's plume. I'll do that off camera. Okay, so we're going to rotate a little bit between the Agrax Earthshade and the Reichland. I think first off what we'll do is hit, remember we were talking about getting his hair a little Reichlandy, I'm sorry, Agraxy. So that's what we'll go ahead and do first thing. Gotta tone down this these lovely locks. And right now I'm kind of focusing on the sides a little bit, because that's where it's going to be a little bit darker. So let's just do a layer there real quick and move on. And then we'll just do like a layer over everything. So next, let's get the plume. Well, it looks like the some of the paint rubbed off on his plume. It's kind of the unfortunate thing about the Reaper paints. One of the things that, you know, there's a lot of pigment to it. It's a really nice paint, but it's not it's not wargamer. It's not very good for wargamers. It has a tendency to rub off quite a bit. Probably not a lot of medium. It's just more pigments. Okay, so then we're gonna throw down. We're gonna bring back some warm tones into the gold. I think the null and oil kind of pushed back the warm tones, but it gave us some nice contrast. So that's kind of what I was going for, was this like warm cold kind of thing. So you have the kind of cool color base, and then you have the and the cool color accent color, you know, the blue, and then you have the really warm armor. Alright. Okay. It looks like his hair is about ready for another layer. Let's go all over it. And this, of course, is still the Reichland. Actually, this is the Reichland. Shoot, I wanted to do the... Oops. That's okay. Actually, it looks like it's turning out nicely. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I like where that hair is going. Alright, then let's get some parchments, and then we'll let you do the rest off camera. So we'll do the Agrax Earthshade for the parchments. Because it doesn't really it has like a really deep brown color, and that's kind of what we're going for. That's it's kind of like an all or nothing. Like it's really deep brown, or it just kind of leaves things a little bit white, whereas Reichland will kind of shade everything. And the recesses are... I think this has just like a little bit more contrast to it. So here we go. Yeah. So I think what we'll probably end up doing, we're going to end up highlighting this parchment a little bit towards the end, but that's that. So then go back to your Reichland, hit the armor. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fix up the top knot a little bit. One of the nice things about having to go back and fix it is that anything we touch becomes lighter since we just darkened it with a glaze. Then, yeah, I think that just about fixes that. So, okay, let's take a second. We're going to lighten that thing up a little bit. We're going to use some of that tan shadow that we used earlier for the hair. Just a little bit. I actually poured a little too much. And let's go ahead and throw some fair skin in there too. Just a little bit. Don't mix too much. So we want to take a very, very small little bit. I mean, real small little bit of the fair skin. Actually, that might not be enough. So we'll throw in a little bit more. A little bit of that. So what we're kind of doing, the fair skin almost makes it a pinkish, and that's not what we want. So we want it to be a little bit more brownish. So then, I think like one of the problems with highlighting red is you can't really lighten it with white, or else it just turns pink. You can't really, it's hard to lighten with yellow because it ends up becoming orange. So now we have this kind of earthish, reddish highlight. I'm just going to pull that in and try to feather it towards the end. Yeah. There we go. Nice and subtle. At this point, let's go ahead and add... Oh, this is going to kill me. We're going to add just a little bit more of that fair skin. Now we are bordering on pink. I'm just going to put a couple little dollops on there. Just to kind of be where the sun hits it. Or I guess this is the underhive, so maybe it's not the sun. There we go. Yeah, okay. Now just wait for that other wash to dry. I take that back. We're not going to wait for that wash to dry. What we're going to do is drop a little fair skin, and while we're waiting for it to dry, let's go ahead and touch up the face. gonna hit the brows. The forehead a little bit. The nose. There we go. Hey, kitty. He went outside, and anytime he goes outside, he becomes traumatized that he'll never see us again. Like, pat me. So I'm kind of trying to simulate the nose shadow by putting just a little bit in the corners of his mouth. Fortunately, it might be a little much. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna feather that in a little bit. Yeah, that was a little bit too... There we go. I think it kind of worked out. Yeah. So now let's wait for the wash to settle. Still waiting for the Reichland to dry. We're going to highlight some hair. So we took that, I think it was that, oh gosh, what was it, the tan skin? Yeah, tan shadow. We're just going to use that as a highlight and just bring it into the top of the hair. And then here in a second, what we'll do is we'll probably add a little bit of that fair skin to it just to get like a few more like really contrasty highlights. And yeah, kind of trying to feather this in while I go. Okay, so I think we're there. So we'll add just a quick dollop of the fair skin. Kind of almost like a 1-to-1. Okay, I'm having a hard time mixing this. Alright, here we go. I think we're about there. Just gonna hit some of the edges. There we have it. Cool. Let's go into with some linen white and hit some of the edges on this. There we go. Gosh, just all it takes is just a little bit there, and instantly, it's so much better. I'm just kind of hitting the edges where the light would catch it. Try to feather it in. You don't have to do too much. It's not an edge highlight. I try not to do too many edge highlights because it's not how a light really works. Light kind of just falls down and onto your object. However, there are times when the something is worn, but oftentimes when something is worn, it becomes darker. Not always, but depending on what it is and why it's worn. Add a little bit of spittle, kind of blend it down. There we go. Oh, it's looking good. All right. Let's go ahead and hit up some of the aspects of the base. I'm going to go ahead and you're going to see me using a lot of the same colors repeatedly. So there's a little bit of the tan shadow. Here's some of that fair linen. I'm sorry, not fair linen, fair skin. Yeah, I think that should do it for now. If I had a gray sitting around, I would use a little bit of gray, but it's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit up some rocks. Just pick out a couple rocks here and there. Where's some good rocks? Here we go. Just a couple of them. I think these are supposed to be ruins from whatever it is they're standing on, but that's okay. We can say that there's a variety of different igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary and all that. Okay. This should just make it pop a little bit more. So I'm kind of going back and forth with the rock color. You almost just make, I mean, there's these, all this sand and stuff. Sometimes just like a little dollop or something should break up the monotony of the gray. I think it's going to look really good once we put a wash over it. Alright, let's keep at it. Eek! Found a skull. Okay, linen white that bad boy. We're going to hit up, we're going to go back and forth. So we're going to do a little bit of Nuln Oil, and then we're going to do some Agrax Earthshade. What we're going to do is, let's start with the Nuln Oil, and this is going to go onto the stone. And you mostly want to go into the recesses. So we'll probably, let's see, yeah, so go ahead and do that. But on the surface, go ahead and wet your brush, and we're going to try to pull some of that off. Yeah, there we go. So it just goes into the recesses. So really not trying to shade this guy too much, so much as just give it some contrast in the recesses. Recesses, recesses, recesses. That's all you ever talk about. I don't know where that came from. Maybe it's my other voice. Other person inside my head. Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. That's what all you ever talk about. Okay. And we're going to do the Agrax Earthshade all over everything else. And you can be a little sloppy with this. The idea is it's going to be dirt. Oops. Alright, think about it. This is probably slabs of stone. Okay, so be gentle with that. Okay. There you go. Do that to the rest of the guys. Alright, so I took a little bit of a break. I ended up clear coating these guys and showing them off at a demo. So that's kind of where they're at. I took a little break, a little discombobulated, not too sure exactly where we left off. But let's see. I think the next thing, let's start pulling out some of the details. Like right here, we have a bunch of kind of like, I don't know, like cloth or whatever. So let's go ahead and fill that in. I'm thinking a little bit of a gray would work out. And I've been really trying to simplify the palette. So let's go with that dusky skin. I can't remember if we use that on these guys or not. Because I'm a little discombobulated. Alright, so let's go ahead and get in there. What we'll do is we'll probably do this, and then we'll do like a little bit of a wash on top of it. And then we'll pull out some of the highlights. So go ahead, get a gray that you like. It doesn't have to be this dusky skin. You don't have to use Reaper. You could use something else. You know, if you want to use a lighter gray, that's fine too, because we're going to be using Nuln oil over it. And you can add Nuln oil to your heart's content, or whatever. So go ahead and hit it. Let's get back. Let's go ahead and put some of this tan shadow down. This is going to be like on the handles of all their weapons. So we're just going to start off with a little bit of a, just coat a little bit, and then we'll come back in and do some washes and some highlights. So, and this is actually like any light brown. We want it to kind of look like parchment, but we also want it to stand out a little bit from the actual parchment that we put on. Well, I guess it's not really actual parchment, just pieces of plastic with paint on it. But anyway, so go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back in a second and do some washing. Okay, so let's get some Agrax Earth Shade. Yeah, this is going to go onto the handles. Alright. Yeah, so we're going to hit this real quick, and then what we'll end up doing is doing a little bit of highlight touch-ups. Just to kind of, I don't know. I like to do like a push-pull kind of a thing. So push it back and then pull it forward. So, push it back as in, darken it a bit, and then bring it forward by lightening it. So go ahead and do that with everybody, and we'll let it dry. Okay, so then we're going to take a little bit more of this tan shadow. Bloop. Better angle, so I'll just stick my hand right in front of the camera. And then we'll do a little bit of the fair skin. Just a little tad. We don't want to get crazy with it. Mix that shiz up. I really only need a little bit, so I'm mixing a bit more than we need. So, there we go. Wash, 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 wash. Wipe on my pants. Lick the brush, and then we're just going to kind of go through and pick out a few little strands. And this is, I kind of just, oh man, I'm not really going for realism, to be honest. I'm really just going to kind of show people, like, look, I do care enough to pick out some strands. Yeah. So that way it looks deliberate. That's all I really want, is deliberate. Well, I want it to look good too. How does that look to you? Looks blurry, huh? Yeah, it's just subtle. But, it's going to be all these little subtleties that add up. So go ahead and hit every single one of your models. Little trip through time. Go hit some Nuln oil. Remember those grays we did? Let's do it. Same concept. So I'm going to go in here, hit it up precisely. Strategic. I want to say strategical bombing, but it's not really bombing. You're like, oh, Dad, of course it's not bombing. It's painting. Alright. Yeah, just let that sit. Hit up the other guys. Okay, so these are amazing. Moondrop grapes. Holy hell. They look like they are Vienna sausages with the Black Plague, but they're not Vienna sausages with the Black Plague. I asked, do you have the Black Plague? No. That was me saying no. It wasn't actually a Moondrop grape. They're really good. They don't have that like eggy aftertaste that grapes normally have. And they're very, very sweet. Yum, 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 yum. Okay. So we're gonna add a little bit of this. That's that dusk brown. I added way too much. I'm just gonna add a little bit fair skin. I'm being lazy. I'd probably add a white or some sort instead of this off-white, but whatever. We don't need much because we're gonna kind of actually, let's see. I think I keep wanting to call this guy LeBron. I don't know why. Just Mr. LeBron. Just hit up kind of like what we did with the hammer. Just get the couple little slashes here and there. Actually, I hit that a little bit too hard. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's nice and subtle. Don't want to go crazy with it. There we are. Would you like to see what I'm doing? Okay. Alright, there we go. Like I said, nice and subtle. Yeah, go and do that for the rest of you guys. Real quick, this was annoying me. Just the top of these guys. I'm going to put some of that gray while we're at it, and I'm actually going to hit this up with Nuln Oil, but I'm not going to bother showing you how to do that because we already kind of went over that. So go ahead and hit it with something. Just anything. Anything! Okay, so I'm going to go with this Auburn Shadow. So what we're going to do now is we're probably going to end up mixing a little bit of this at some point with some of that tan shadow. But we want to do a lot of the leather strips. And it's going to be a little bit reddish. You know, I have a little bit of this gray here. I'm going to mix it in just to kind of dull it down a little bit. Fuck it. I'm going to add some tan shadow. This is basically how I paint. So, like, just like add stuff until it looks good. Oof, that was a little too much. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more of that. Auburn. Okay, now we should be about the consistency I want it. So we want it to be kind of red-brown. I mean, it's going to be leather. It's probably still a little bit too red, but we're going to end up like dulling this a little bit more. And kind of what I'm after is a lot of the leather whatnots. I'm going to say that this that the scabbards are that they are made of cheese. No, they're not made of cheese. They are leather. So let's go ahead and hit all the scabbards. And then once you're done with that, I think there's all these like adjusty straps on the backs of their heads. And then let's see, what else is leather? The belts. Actually, this is really shitty. I don't know what happened. I think somehow I got water in here. I need to mix the paint a little bit better. Okay, I think we should be good now. So, yeah, just go ahead and get in there. It's still a little shitty, but it's not as bad. Yeah, get all this whatnot, all the metals, or not the metals, the leathers. Yeah, so let's hit that. Then we're gonna Agrax it and then do the highlights. Agrax or shade. By the way, I hid the paint that we mixed underneath him. So it's kind of like a poor man's version of a wet palette. And considering wet palettes are really cheap, that means that it's a really poor man's version. Okay. Boo boo boo, because you've never seen how Agrax or shade is put on. I lied, you saw it earlier. And you've probably done it a million times yourself, but I'm going to show you anyway. That's how Agrax or shade is put on. And I'm starting to think that maybe I should have gone with Nuln Oil instead. So if you're thinking about what I should put on, probably think about Nuln Oil. And I know this doesn't really sound like I'm harmonizing anything. It's not really a song. So this is what happens when it's late at night and my brain is exhausted. Okay, so do that and we'll texture and highlight it. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit more of this, just dollop more of the tan shadow. And Gonna, yeah, no, I'm just gonna start with this. And then I think when we texture, yeah, so when we texture, then I'll go ahead and, no, actually, this is a pretty good color. I'm kind of digging it. Maybe we'll just stick with it. We'll see. I'm afraid to get like too contrasty. All right. So now, how did my camera get so bright? Okay, so we just did like a. If you see, I'm really not trying to. Okay, I'm really not trying to create like these perfect straight contours. I'm trying to make a little bit of a. It's almost like I'm trying to add. Oops, dry by the time I got to it. You know, I need a smaller brush. Okay, so where are we at? So we're kind of using a little bit of micro texturing as our highlights. And I just saw that there's this little piece there. I'm going to turn this upside down a little bit because I accidentally scratched off a little bit of the paint along this edge. So it's kind of nice. It kind of added a little bit of texture to it. Just a couple little slashes so the leather looks distressed. And maybe a couple little dabs along the edge because we want it to be uneven. I mean, this thing is getting like rattled around and yeah, there we go. All right, let's do that with this belt and everybody else. Well, okay, so we're kind of in the home stretch now. But as I'm going along, I'm kind of thinking about those bases and thinking that the gray is a little smooth. It's a little smooth and it's kind of bothersome. So I'm going to put a little bit of, get some gray, get some of this, I don't know, what is this, the linen white. And let's see, I'm thinking we are going to dry brush our way to an A. Maybe. let's see. Okay, so that's looking all right. I just used the brush I was going to use for dry brush to mix paint. That wasn't right. Okay, so I'll use this one instead. So the ancient art of dry brushing. It was always a dream of mine to start Bretonians, so I could just dry brush silver on everything. Just take a model, prime it black, and just dry brush. Okay, I think that's looking a little bit better. Just want to, yeah, it's looking a little smooth. Eugh. This almost has like a greenish quality to it. You know what? I think I'm gonna add. Let's see, what do we have in here? I got some ceramite white. Should have used that instead. It's just about dead. Okay, so we got the ceramite white. And then, yeah, I just want to brighten this up a little bit. It's crazy how greenish this is looking. There we go. Cats are fighting in the hallway. I don't know if you could hear them. Okay. And then let's get the. Ooh! Overdid it. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to bring that back. It's not looking terrible. I think if I throw some weathering powders on that head, I think it should tone it down a little bit. Yeah, no, this is looking good. There we go. I'm gonna try. Oops, it's a little extreme. I don't want those edge highlights so sharp. want it to kind of have like a spotlightish kind of effect. Almost as though there, yeah, just like a light coming down here and a light coming through here. But yeah, there we go. So that's that, and like now, I got that ceramite white just laying there. I wonder if we should hook up Steel Balls' eyes. Okay, take that super tiny. Uh-oh. That's the problem with white. I think they put so much pigment in there that it just becomes, it just dries super fast. Okay, so we're gonna put, yep, just in the corner of his eye. Doesn't take much. Ah! And by it doesn't take much, I mean not that much. Perfect. Perfect. I don't know if you could see. I like it. I don't like to do the corneas. I think it's a cornea. There's iris. Yeah, the iris and the pupil. It's just, it's too much. Usually looks a little bit, unless you get the values just right, and most people don't, it ends up looking really cartoony. So I don't bother. All right, I guess we are going to get into some, we're gonna get into some silver. All mixerized. Okay, so let's see. We have a few little whatchamajigs, some studs on his whatchamajig. Let's see, may as well hit up the tips of some of the his loincloth armor thing. And then, and I guess you don't have to hit all of them, but just kind of pick out a row that's kind of a bit more exposed, and we'll get some visibility, and perhaps something that has like a little bit more contrast to it. Like down here towards the bottom of it, there's a lot of Nuln Oil had gathered, so that'd be a good place to kind of pick out, so you get the most mileage for your Runefang silver. Otherwise it's going to be like really tedious going through every single thing. And then once you're done with that, let's take this sword, and we're going to start making just, oops. So make a couple slashes. Having a little problem here. There we go. And then kind of run it down the edge just a little bit. And don't make it consistent. You don't want it to look cartoony. There you are. So we just want a little bit of texture there. I mean, he's been slapping the shit out of people for a while. It's been rubbing up against armor. Thing is not in the best of shape. You know, he's not doing the parade grounds right now. So do that. Also kind of hit up some of these little lightning bolts. We're going to try and make them pop a little bit. Let's see what else is there. Actually, it looks like some of these lightning bolts could use a little bit of love. Some poppage. And while you're at it, you know, just hit a couple bolts. Here, stay in focus. Yeah, hit a couple bolts. Poppage. So some of these other guys, especially LeBron over here, no, not LeBron, his sister, we kind of gave her a little bit of a steel head to her hammer. So just kind of pick out a little bit there, kind of like jostle my brush just a little bit, just to kind of give it some uneven texture. Yeah, it's not much. Like I said, it's all subtleties. But go ahead and hit that. Hit a couple of little spots, and we'll move on. You know, while we're at this silver thing, let's go ahead and hit up some of the blue. I want to do a little bit of battle damage, and you know, just kind of hit this up with just a little bit. Yeah, just hit the raised edges where it'd be scuffed up. God, I hate some of these pop tops. And then we'll go in and start. The nice thing about that is there's a little natural divot there. Cool, there we are. Just a couple little scratches. Give a little bit of variety to the values. Alright. Oh, come on. There we go. Add a little bit too much water to that. Okay. Yeah, okay. There we have it. Just a little bit of wear. Alright, so I'll do that to the rest of them. So as I'm going along here, I happen to see that one of the problems I'm having with this shield of the Stormcast Sister is that if I go along the edge here, it's just going to be that silver on really light. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, get the sponge technique and dab on. It's got to be just a little bit of black, and then just kind of dab it on a little bit, mostly on the edges. And then once that's dry, I'll go in a little bit of silver and fix it. So, but you know what? It dries so fast. Why not just do it now? Yeah, it's gonna look so much better. I'm kind of just using this silver as a highlight. So much better. Yeah. Yeah, and then you get into the darker blues and it's just do what you want. Okay, so just a little bit. I did notice that our Lordy Pants has a chain around his neck. I forgot about that. So let's go ahead and do some Iraqi sand and hit up a little bit of that. And of course, what we're gonna do, of course, is, we're gonna hit up. We're gonna hit up some of this Iraqi sand, and then add a little bit of I guess we do Agrax or Shade. It's kind of my go-to these days. A little Agrax and Nuln Oil. So do this, get the back, let it dry. Agrax! See how I just completely discarded my model? Just knock it aside like it's nothing. Total disrespect. Yeah, total, complete disrespect. Okay, I think this might take a couple washings. It's not really... I don't know what the deal is. But, yeah. I don't know. I could just call it right there. Nah, I'm not going to. Alright, let's just give it a couple wash. So while I'm waiting for that second layer of Agrax to dry, I'm going to use a little bit of a blue glaze. Brand new bottle. Wow, I think I have like 3 or 4 of these. So I'm going to use some Gulliman Blue. And I'm really not digging this super white that I have going on here. So I'm going to kind of tone it down a little bit by putting a little bit of glaze on here. And then I'm going to feather it with some water. Okay. Just kind of pulling back a little bit. This should make a nice transition. Yeah, that's muy bien. Yeah, I'm liking that a lot more. Alright, we are totally in the home stretch. So something that kind of bothered me is my tripod falls over. Something that kind of bothers me is that I totally have a green wash. I have no idea what I did with it. So instead, we're going to have to create one with some Dark Angels green. But first, we're going to throw down some Catagen green on some bases. So if you see, there's a lot of organics on this guy. So a little bit of bramble, a little bit of leaves. So let's go ahead and hit some of that. So with these leaves, I don't know, we could just go green and call it good, but that's boring as fuck. So what I'm thinking is that some of these leaves, maybe they're not fully green. Maybe they have like a slightly different inside, you know. Oh gosh, I don't know what. Like, there's some ivies that I've seen with just a little bit of, just kind of like a yellowish kind of color on the inside. So let's just go ahead and throw a little bit of that on the inside of the leaves. Oh man, this turning into a mess. But it's okay. We'll correct it with a little bit of the Catachin green, bring it back, and then when we do our when we do our wash, it'll really hit home. There we go. Looks like I didn't shake this pot very well, so it's separating. Okay. Throw in a little bit of that Iraqi sand right down the center of the leaf. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of It's kind of looking like where it's supposed to go. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that, and I swear it's going to turn out really nice once we get the wash on it. So I'm kind of waiting for that, for some of the green to dry. Added a little bit of moisture to it, so I'm going to grab some ultramarine blue. And let's see what happens here. I'm going to try and add a little bit of distressing to the cape. I probably should add some white to this. Yep, okay, that's what I'm going to do. We got to add a little bit. Actually, I got this Space Wolf gray. I think that might work out really nicely. So I'm going to take some ultramarine blue, some Space Wolf gray, and see what... I kind of globbed some ultramarine blue over here accidentally. Yeah, okay. We just got to dull it down a little bit. So, ultramarine blue sure is... And one of the things I loved about that, I had the ultramarines for a while, was ultramarine blue just coated really nicely. I think there's something about that, the blue they used, like the pigment count was really high or something. So a little bit more, just lighten it up a little bit, dull it down. Okay. Yeah, that's probably what I'm after. Just, well, a couple little passes here and there. You know, I don't know how I feel about this. Kind of feel as though it's still too blue. Honestly, I'm looking at the back of his cape, and I kind of see it's a little too speckly, first off, so I'm not really digging my airbrush work on this guy. So hopefully you do a better job than I did. But the idea, trying to see what I'm talking about, the speckling, not such a fan. I think it'll be okay from a tabletop. But that's that tough thing about using white. It's just the high pigment count, and I bet it was probably sometimes if I'm blowing a little bit too much air, like it ionizes it. Is what it's called. There we go. I think we're getting there. It's just a series of passes along the edges. Yeah. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Yeah. Okay. I like where it's going. So let's do that a whole bunch. Kind of make random passes, make a couple repeated jags or slashes. Kind of go with that. I mean, we're looking for kind of a clothy kind of texture, so a lot of lines, parallel lines, will give that effect. So give it a shot. Getting sleepy. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. So we're gonna take some of this. Take some Dark Angels green. See, yuck, this thing's like 10 years old. Alright, dab it on there. Let's see, start adding some water. Yeah, okay, that's not too bad. Nah, I don't know. We'll probably end up adding more water. We're just gonna put a little puddle right here just in case. Alright, so, yep, a little bit of water. So what we did, we kind of did like a 1-to-1 ratio, and now it looks like I'm going to be adding a little bit more. So you probably, like if you just wanted to mix, I don't know, like a 1-to-2, like that might work out. So like 1 part paint 2 parts water. That would probably be fine. But yeah, just kind of doop 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 wherever you need it. I think it should look pretty good when it's done. You know, honestly, I think if I did this again, oops, I forgot to paint those leaves in there. I might actually do Null and Oil first, just to make sure that it has like that nice high contrast. Yeah, that's coming along. Okay. Alright, just a few steps left. Let's go back into that gold we had earlier. Did I have a different gold? I don't know. Yeah, I thought I had a different gold. Okay, so gold. And we're going to kind of go back and paint some of the surfaces that the sun would see. And we're not going to stop right here. Like, this is awfully bright. It's awfully warm. I don't want to leave it kind of warm. We want it a little bit whiter. So I'll start here. Oh, shit. Yeah, there we go. And sometimes you have to like feather it in a little bit. And if it's a little rough, that's okay too, because it's like burnished metal, you know, it's not going to be perfect. Get on top of the packs. Yeah, so bringing it back to life a little bit. And around some of the wear areas too. That makes sense? So I did a little bit here. We're going to do a little bit around the edge here, a little bit on the pecs, a little bit on the top of the head. So play with that and come right back. Alright, so this time we are going to grab some of that gold. Gonna make a big old pile of this stuff because I don't want to go searching for my wet palette. So we're taking some of that gold, and then we're going to take some Rune Fang silver, wherever I put it, and mix this shit together. So, yeah, I think we might do a little bit more silver. So I think that was 2 to 1. I think we're going to, I'm sorry, that was 1 to 1. We're going to go probably 2 parts silver to 1 part gold. And lump it up in a big, nice pile. Alright, good stuff. So I got that pile right there in the middle of my messy desk. Now, let's go ahead and just start. Use a little bit as a highlight, and then kind of just scrape it along instead of, you know, just like brushing. Kind of like what we did before with, we're kind of doing micro textures meets highlights. And yeah, I think this is going to look good. We might even go a little bit further and just do straight up Rune Fang silver after this. Although the transition might not be dramatic enough to where we get something out of it. So maybe we'll just kind of leave it at this. Yeah, I think this is looking good. Once again, nice and subtle. See, I didn't do a very good job of green stuffing this. Yeah, just a couple slashes here and there. Show me the goods. Sorry, guys. It's hard to paint in video. If I keep doing stuff like this, maybe I'll invest in a rig or something. I don't know how people do that. A lot of... I'm like moving all over the place, so maybe it's just discipline. Oops, got a little too much on. Alright, you kind of seen it yet? I know the lights, it's a little bit contrasty anyway. Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna add a little bit more mithril silver, or not mithril silver, runefang silver, to where the gold is like almost gone. So I'm thinking that's kind of, oops, thankfully I got the top on before it hit the floor. Yeah, I think it's gonna be really nice. So, at this point, I think we're probably, God, what are we about, like 3 to 1? So go ahead and try that, and, you know, like, once again, we're gonna be making microtextures plus highlights, so take a look at that and see how it goes. So I have a hunch. I'm gonna try a stippling brush to give that pounded metal look on the end of LeBron's. Okay. Yeah, okay, that works. So stipple. This thing has been beaten to hell, so naturally, it's a lot of chaos faces. Beat a lot of chaos faces. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that looks pretty beat up. Just do a little bit more. Fuck it. I'm done. Okay. I guess the next step is going to be some weathering powder. So, yeah. What do we have on tap today? Oxidio, fresh rust. There we go. Go with English there, because I suck at pretty much everything else. Yeah, I don't think we're going to do that one. Let's try a different one. I need something a little bit more color. What if we do sienna? Oh, there we go. Okay, let's try that. I guess it would really make sense with the dirt. The way it is, I'm sorry, the bricks. And I'm just kind of dabbing this on there. I think it's going to look, yeah, it should look pretty good. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Just a little tarnish on her loincloth. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. So let's go ahead and hit everybody else. Oh, yeah, it's gonna look especially good on that cape. Woo! Nice thing is it also gives a little bit of little life to the stonework too. So Last step is paint those bases, man. Stoked. This is it. Down to the end. Oh, where's a good base brush? So we hit this Ancient Chaos Black and paint the bases. Probably take about 2 coats. Enjoy. There we are, the final product. That wasn't so bad. Yeah, I think with these guys, yeah, definitely a lot easier. I mean, when it's one big plain thing, you know, I almost missed painting Space Marines after the Chaos guys. But, you know, there's a few more steps to them, a little bit more detail. But I think the nice thing is like, it really makes them pop, you know, like, of course, purity seals are the same as their little ribbon things. But, you know, I think just the details, you know. I think the Chaos guys had a lot more variety, but that's not to say that you can't really add some variety to these guys. Maybe you could change up the shoulder pads and, you know, or do different values. I think I went a little dark, as I usually do, but, you know, that's my jam. Anyway, I hope you found this useful. You know, even if you pick different colors, and I recommend you do, not because mine are horrible, but express yourself. But, you know, the same principles apply, so, yeah, make it your own, guys. Alright, well, that's it. That's it for ShadeSpire. I might do some orcs. We'll see. They're coming out soon. Might do some undead, but might just take a break. I don't know. We'll see. I got some other stuff going on. Alright, stay tuned.